Today we'll look at ratios as used every day. Your first thought might be, what is so important about ratios? You might understand the math that uses fractions, the colon, and the word to, but you might not understand how ratios are used every day. Ratios are very useful. In fact, ratios are used frequently in architecture, engineering, art, media, animation, and science all the time. A ratio is a way of comparing one quantity to another. For example, we can compare the measurements of height to width. So where do you see ratios in your everyday life? You see ratios all the time when you use your cell phone, tablet, television, flat screen, or watch a movie in the theater. In images, photography, and movie making, a ratio is used to describe the picture frame or the size of the square or rectangle height and width used to display a movie. It is the relationship between image height and width. In photography and movie making, comparing height to width is called aspect ratio, and it describes the square or rectangle of the picture frame or edges surrounding the movie image. A picture or movie image can be horizontal or vertical. For now, we'll talk about horizontal picture frames. Take a look at these different shapes. They have different aspect ratios. When talking about ratios, the symbol colon means 2, as in 1.33 to 1. The 1 is used to be a fixed reference, that means height. The other number is variable and is a reference to the width. Hence, 1.33 to 1 means that the width is 0.33 more than the height, which is always equal to 1. Before we talk about the 0.33 more, what does the frame look like when the height and width are equal? Well, that would be a ratio of 1 to 1. It is a perfect square. If we change the width, we create a rectangle and deviate from the square shape. Here are examples of the square deviating to various rectangles. 1 to 1, 2 to 1, and 3 to 1. See how the shape goes from a square to more extreme rectangles? This is the result of picture frames that make good use of ratios. Now look at this 1.33 to 1 picture frame. It almost looks like a square, but not quite, and that's the point. 1.33 is the width and 1 is the height. So the width is 0.33 bigger than the height of 1. Have you ever seen a movie framed like this? Most likely you saw it in old-fashioned movies made in the 1950s or earlier. During that time, movie cameras were designed to take almost square pictures. They were breaking away from square picture frames to something different, and they used ratios to help them. Today, the movies you see use ratios that are very extreme rectangles. Their ratios look like this: 1.78 to 1, high definition television, 1.85 to 1, widescreen, 2.35 to 1, cinemascope. Notice how wide the images are? That is because when photographs and movies broke away from paintings, they got wider to simulate how we see the world with our eyes. When we look at the world, there are no canvas frames or frame lines. Our vistas are very broad, and photographs and movies try to duplicate that experience. Later, the widths got so big that they circled the theater, creating a circular surround vision experience. Then there came cell phones, and the frames got very tall. But these topics are covered in other lessons. Next, we will talk about ratios and proportions. Ratios and proportions are closely related. We will see how they differ and how they're used for very unique and unexpected purposes.